Radio in motion program loading in 3, 2, 1. Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, ready, here we go.
Radio in motion.
All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining me tonight on Radio Emotion's 90s Summer, trying to warm you up a bit in this cold winter down under. But first, we're going to have another episode of The Ugly Truth. And the truth can be ugly, but it can set you free. And the truth is, I just want to talk about, I'm calling this the Trump-Tulsi and the manufactured march to war with Iran. Now, there have been some events happening even since I wrote down some of my thoughts, and my thoughts haven't changed because all I really do is ask questions. I'm not here to choose sides or political lines. Everyone asks, me a lot, what side are you on? Are you left or right? And as I always tell them, I'm on the side of humans. I'm a humanist. So I'm just trying to ask the questions to see how we can move forward together. And I also have a logical and a practical side. And sometimes I think that clashes with a lot of people who only think with their heart. And that's beautiful. We need those people. But sometimes, like I say, the running on the hill with the flower in your hair, holding hands, that is a beautiful thought for all humans. But we are just not there yet. And there's probably going to be a lot of more ugly things happening in the evolution of humanity before we get there. And therefore, that's where my practical, logical, factual brain kicks in to the reality we're in now and how we move through that. Essentially, again, I want to talk about what's been happening in the world. And as you all know, the U.S. Has bombed uranium enriching facilities in Iran, and I always will keep reiterating that no matter what you think, we have to just base this on the facts, and the facts are this was a targeted bombing run on factories that were enriching uranium, and the only reason you would do that to the levels that were being done is to make a nuclear weapon, and that is a fact. The rest we'll get stuck into on what's factual and what's not, but that's certainly what happened. And look, I'm going to tackle sort of, some difficult questions like, are we being led again into, wars based on lies? Again, I just put the question out there, but I feel like with a lot of the growing rhetoric around Iran and recycled intelligence claims and a lot of political flip-flops, again, I feel like, politics in general is a circus. It really is. It's quite a stage show. It's quite a play. So, when politicians, whether they're Trump or Biden or Reagan or Carter or Clinton or anyone in politics in general in any country, flip-flops just seem to be part of the deal. What's the thing I heard once, something about, I'm a politician. When I'm not, shaking hands and kissing babies, I'm stealing their lollipops. That's a terrible analogy, but probably true. But yeah, I always ask, again, my practical side knows that sometimes the things that happen that are ugly and involve military, which really just involves sons and daughters, of parents and people on both sides who are scared for their family, but sometimes maybe there is a means to an end and a reason for it. But I always do ask who benefits from war, and who suffers. Well, those are the easy questions. The children always suffer, and who benefits. Look, again, I'm not going to be on either side. What I'm going to talk about is just honest, and some of these things might make out Trump to look like someone who made a tough decision and had a show of force to shut something down that could have gone on for years, or something that could have been worse, like an actual, nuclear strike. Again, I'm just being honest. I'm going to go through both these things. But who profits? Well, I am pretty clear on that one. There is a military-industrial complex, and it is big money. It's big business. And it's more than just the guns and the ammo. When I say military-industrial complex, I'm talking the plastic in your bottles, the foods you eat, the electronics you listen to, and yes, when it does come to war, they supply everything. When men and women go to war, they have to poop, okay? So there's toilets, and there's all the people servicing those toilets, and all the food, and all the dishes. I'm just being honest. It's all the little practical things. It's big money. It's big business. So that's who profits. Again, I'm not here to serve propaganda from the left or the right. I'm just here to stand for people. That's what I always believe in, for human lives, for truth and for peace. Again, that's the part of my brain that's running on the hillside holding everyone's hand. Of course, that's what I want, but how do we get there? So again, let's just talk about what's really happening. Before I get stuck into possibly some negative things, again, on both sides, again, I just put out the facts. I let you decide by you also using critical thinking. You ever heard of that? It's an amazing thing. Don't watch the news. I don't care which one it is. I don't care if it's Fox or CNN, ABC, SBS, Sky News. I'm going to be honest. As much as you might find some ring true a bit more, each of them are also backed by advertisers and agendas. And I'm sorry to say, I am throwing out the baby with the bathwater when it comes to mainstream media. But if you just want to watch the news and believe that, then that's fine. You can live that life. Or like I say, you can actually just decide to think for yourself and research for yourself. God forbid you research for yourself. But first, before I get into the meat of this, essentially, this is the facts that we're being given, and I have to take them at face value. The fact is President Trump didn't come out of the blue, didn't make a crazy decision, didn't start a war, didn't try to provoke a war, and again, everyone may be on the different side of this, and that's okay. It's okay to have an opinion and have an open discourse. That's the good thing about this. But the fact is it was, whether you like it or not, it was a military strike, and it was a strategic military strike, all right? Stealth bombers left Missouri in America, and again, I'm just going to say this from the point of view, I am an American and I am not a warmonger. I don't get behind the military-industrial machine, but I also do believe that we still live in a world where there is danger. And if this is true, the facts that we are being presented with, then there is a danger. And the fact is, it is kind of amazing, I'm just putting it out there, that, these bombers left, they struck the uranium enriching plants in Iran, and these are underground, and they dropped the payload, destroyed those. Now again, we're told that there were no lives lost, that this is where this process is done, and it was actually just the processing plants, and this has to be done underground because it is radioactive. So this is a strategic strike to get rid of these, which only have one purpose, to make nuclear weapons. Again, I'm just telling you, it is an interesting fact that the bombers were on their way back to the USA before Iran even knew what hit them. I'm just saying that's interesting. So again, whether you like it or not, whether you think America's just a big warmonger machine, I do have to point out that at least it is interesting that the U.S. does still have that technology, okay? These stealth bombers, they look like they're a joke, but they're not. They actually fly quite high, and they do have a very low profile. They're not invisible. They don't go invisible. But as far as showing up on radar, yes, they are some of the most high-tech military machines out there, and this pretty much proved it, that they were able to do that in such a short amount of time and return, I think it was 14 hours later, halfway across the globe and home in time for lunch. I know that's terrible. But again, at this point, we are told that there's no human lives lost, and I don't want to joke about it, but I'm just talking about the technology. So that's what happened. Why did it happen? And I had these thoughts too, and I've written them down, and I still will talk about them. The timing is ironic, and it is difficult to think about, well, is it really, our issue? And when I say our, I do mean the USA, but when the USA makes moves, they are affecting the rest of the world. Is this just the Middle East in general? I do feel like we have been meddling there for centuries, And is this about a regime change? I'm still not sure. I'm on the fence post about that. I'm not sure. I don't think so at this exact point with some of the things I'm going to talk about. But that's the other thing. Where everyone always thinks it's about a regime change. They want to scare this one out, put someone else in that they can control. And again, that is a possibility. But in general, you're thinking, well, that's Israel and Iran's problem. It's their problem. It's all of it. Iraq, Afghanistan. Why do we meddle in that part of the world? Again, I would hope, in my naive part, the running on the hills of the flowers part, that there's a reason for this. Sometimes, there's the men and the women that have to make the tough decisions and do some of the things that are difficult to get to the good part. I hope it is for a purpose, for peace. I hope ultimately it is to have a balance of peace and stability. So the timing is interesting. But here's the thing. This particular strike isn't necessarily about Israel and Iran. It's just, I would say, good timing. As in, Israel's already done some of the hard parts, clearing out a lot of the military force in the sky, and an airstrike at this point was quite feasible and practical. So here's the other thing that you have to realize. Iran already had a warning. This was already in place. They were given 60 days. And again, whether you're like, it's all just crap, it's all just a warmonger, but this is a fact. They have these precedents in place already to ensure that they are not creating nuclear weapons. And they already had a contract with the U.S. They were given 60 days that these factories needed to be inspected. They needed to show that they weren't doing that. And I know you're going to say, well, how come the U.S. and Russia, they can have the nukes? Well, they do. So that's my practical side. I don't know what to tell you. Get over it. It's too late. Okay? Those are the superpowers. It is what it is. But the fact is we would hope that the whole point of that is checks and balances. Okay? You don't want a rogue nation that does have constant regime changes and extreme instability. And the fact is again, I can't help that that's already in place. Iran is not to have or to produce nuclear weapons. And that all starts with enriching uranium. So they had a contract, 60 days. Well, the fact is that 60 days was up. So what do? Do you just let it go? Do you let it become a problem? And again, this is my logical side. Or sometimes you have to say, well, there are consequences. And I know this is serious. This is more than a timeout. A kid in the corner counting to 3. This is a serious consequence. But the fact is they were meant to have inspections. The U.S. gave them 60 days, and the fact is that had passed. So this is an outcome. And I'm going to be honest, no, it's not a declaration of war. Again, this is the reality of the world of politics and rules and laws which do exist. Why do you think the U.S. even has stealth bombers? It's not so they can announce and declare war. It's not World War I. It's not World War II. The military, all kinds of military all over the world, Israel included, the UK, Australia, all the Western world, there are military forces. Their job is hopefully to carry out missions to avoid human casualties as best they can. Why do you think there are SEAL teams, if you know anything about that? They are the most highly trained, and they don't stand in a line with muskets going, "It's war!" No. These are carried out as missions to a means to an end. So this was a mission using stealth bombers, so no one's going to declare that we're coming. We're going to get you, and we'll be there at 5. So no, this was a military operation because, again, Iran had 60 days to prove that they weren't doing this. So that's just the facts of what actually happened, okay? And I do think the parts about Israel at the moment also attacking Iran, again, I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I really don't know. You'll never know until you're in that room. You'll never know until you're in the room talking with the men and women making the decisions. Okay, so having said that, so this will either be a phenomenal win for Trump, or it will look quite bad. I don't know which at the moment. It's early days. I'll be honest, and you may not like this, depending on how you feel about him. At the moment, it's looking on the side of he made a decision and a show of force, and to show Iran that there were consequences. And as you know, the other report out right now is there is an immediate ceasefire, and Iran will come to the table. And I'm just saying, so this was a means to an end to help get through to peace. If you're going through hell, keep going. I'm just saying. So it's looking more like that. But here's the questions I do still have to ask. It was a bit annoying because, people would ask me about Trump, and I would say, he's more of a businessman. He's not a warmonger. And I'm sorry, there's plenty of people on the left. They are still aligned with the military-industrial complex. They love war because it gives them a payday. And again, I won't get too deep into that, but always keep an eye on the politicians who go into politics. By the way, neurosurgeons, doctors make more than politicians, okay? Maybe 150,000 a year. How is it possible that some of these politicians come out as multimillionaires? I mean, mega millionaires. Come on, okay? You can put that one together quickly. So, yeah, I used to say war is not his aim. If anything, he'd like to develop these countries and probably put a Trump Tower there. I know that sounds ridiculous, but not into war. So that was a bit annoying because, he campaigned on that, ending the forever wars, which he may have still done, because this could have been a forever war or a strategic military mission with an outcome, again, based on the information we're given, with no casualties, with Iran going, oh, I see, the U.S. is not a paper tiger. Some serious shit went down. Okie dokie. So it could be that too. But again, it is difficult that, he's parroting intelligence that aligns with Israel and Saudi interests. Okay, so that is bad timing. And it's sort of the neocon agenda, which he once rejected. Okay? The irony, the anti-establishment outsider, which is him, and he is an outsider. Don't think just because, there are people in his ear, he's still the outsider. It worries me that he's becoming an obedient actor in the establishment's sort of foreign policy playbook. And when I say playbook, again, I do feel like I've seen this before. I'll talk about that in a minute. It's like Iraq 2.0, weapons of mass destruction. Again, I didn't actually see, nor did you, the actual, uranium enriching factories underground or whatever. Didn't see them. So just like the WMDs from the George W. Bush days, again, the whole Iraq War was at face value based on some BS. So the other thing is it seems like a few weeks back there was no verified U.S. intelligence saying Iran is building a nuke. That was actually in March. Tulsi Gabbard, who I also have followed, and I think she's very practical, serving in the military herself, seemingly speaking very much against war and for the U.S. But the thing is in March, she, spoke in front of Congress and confirmed the U.S. intelligence community official position was that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon. Again, that was confusing because the new intelligence that all this is based on, and this is where it gets a bit fuzzy, it's not American intelligence, it's Israeli intelligence funneled through Mossad. So, okay, that's where I still ask these questions. As much as at the top of this discussion, I said sometimes it might be a means to an end. And these are difficult decisions. When you become president, then you can talk. I'm just saying, when you become anyone in that position of authority to make the tough decisions, and of course, he is surrounded by people who are in his ear. I get that. The president doesn't have as much power as you think, but at the same time, he does. The president can make these decisions, and did, but this decision was made based on Israeli intelligence. So yes, that is a bit of a worry and a confusion. So I was talking about Iraq. Is this Iraq 2.0? Weapons of mass destruction. There's WMDs. We didn't find any, but they're there. Keep looking, but we'll keep going to war instead. We'll go to Iraq looking for the WMDs that we didn't find, with the WMDs being the purpose we went to war. Again, I'm not being a jerk. I'm just asking the question. Is it a repeat of the lie that led to that war? Again, I'm just saying because the script is almost identical. And let's face it, the oligarchs and the neocons in the political realm, frankly, old tricks are the best tricks with them. And I feel like they assume we just keep not noticing. And the fact is maybe we don't. But they have a playbook. So this one was unverified foreign intel, the media echo chamber, and it is. There's a false urgency weeks away. They're always weeks away. I'm going to be honest. I keep feeling like I've always been hearing about Iran having nuclear weapons weeks away since the 90s. Most of the movies were based on that. They're just weeks away, minutes away. It's been a long time. Yeah. And, it just seems like the same playbook that Bush and Cheney used, and it's being recycled. And if it is about a regime change, the U.S. meddling in the Middle East, it's, I don't know what it's about still. Is it still about oil? Is it still about the black gold? Possibly. So this is the other thing. And I wrote this down before I saw the press conference with Trump. And again, from the point of view of, did this get resolved clean, assuming there were no casualties? Kind of did. Again, if we're taking the facts at face value. But I still had to ask, is Israel driving U.S. policy? And I don't think it should. I'm sorry. This is now the full American part of me. If there's something we can do to help, that's fine. But if we're going to get involved in someone else's problems and cause more problems, I just don't see the point of it. Like I say, the Israeli leaders, have claimed Iran is weeks away from a bomb since the 90s, and that's getting old. And I feel like, U.S. policy is no longer based on any independent analysis. It's just slapped, it's just based on other people's intelligence. The real question is, are U.S. leaders surrendering American sovereignty to a foreign government? I'm just being somewhat honest. Someone asked me about this. I said there's a lot of influence. There is. It's a fact. I'm not anti-Israel or anti-Palestine. I'm not for either. I am, again, for finding a way through this and peace and people talking, if that is possible. And I do still believe it is. But I also don't like the idea that a foreign government, and that is Israel, I'm sorry, it's amazing how such a small place, and this isn't about the people. This is never about the people. This is about the governments in charge and the ones who are higher up. They are the ones who are the problem. And no, they shouldn't be controlling, U.S. policy. And yeah, the Tulsi Gabbard one still concerns me with the flip-flop. Shows that there's a lot of pressure, within the machine, the military-industrial machine. Because, even once principled voices get bent inside the system, if that makes sense, this is how sort of the pro-war consensus is maintained, even for someone who's so anti-war. And that's difficult. So is this a declaration of war? I had written that down, and again, based on all the rules of engagement and what a president can do, no. But it's not just about Iran, Does this push Iran closer to China and Russia? I think that one gets thrown out a lot. I don't think so. I think it's more Iran going, okay, I see that this particular president and cabinet and the people surrounding him take action. And they're serious. And again, I'm sorry, sometimes you have to take action to avoid something more horrific. So yeah, if this escalates, it's not just a Middle East war. It's potentially World War III. That's the other question that gets thrown around. Again, so I go back to, it's possible that it won't escalate based on this. Again, I don't know. This is just one discussion where we're at right now. We'll have to keep watching and keep listening. But yeah, this isn't a drill. The consequences go beyond oil or ideology. They reshape global alliances and, threaten U.S. national security more than Iran ever could, if it were to go further. Or, if it were to go unchallenged. Again, these are speculations. We'll never know because it did get challenged. It got challenged big time. So look, that's all I have to say about that. These are just questions versus how I feel and the facts. And they're all just spinning around in my head. Like I say, the facts are, this is a military operation, a strike, because Iran broke their contract with the U.S. and they had more than enough time to comply, and they acted shady and dodgy. And, this particular White House said there are consequences to that. And this is what you get. You're not going to show us. We will remove them. And we will drop, bunker busters from stealth planes and get the job done. Those are the facts. How it will turn out as opposed to not doing anything, again, maybe it would have gotten worse. Maybe it would escalate. Maybe they would see the U.S. as a paper tiger, all threats, and maybe we'll just keep going. We'll push it harder. And before you know it, yes, there's a nuclear missile on the way to the U.S. And no, not just the U.S. and all her allies. That's a fact. The Western world in general. Again, you'll be like, oh, that's a typical American of you. You're just only about America. I'm just putting out the facts and where we're at. And all I can do is, like I say, hope that we get to the feels part. We get to the running on the hills together. But that does take an open discourse between, different politicians and cultures and religions and people to sit down and try to find a way through this. So yeah, if in closing, if there's one thing history teaches us, it's that, lies sold as security, cost innocent lives. And it's always the innocent that suffer. War isn't just on distant soil. It's fought in our minds too, through, manipulation and the narratives and sometimes the silence. But you're listening because you refuse to be silent. And that's good. Like I say, if you're listening, you are the resistance. If you're keeping an open mind and critical thinking, well, then that's a good thing. That's a good start. There are no easy answers, but asking questions is a good start. That's why I'm so anti cancel culture these days, that nobody can even ask a question without someone getting so sensitive because it might get too close to an uncomfortable truth. Well, I'm sorry. The world's full of uncomfortable truths. And if you don't face them, they will fester and rot inside you and destroy you. That's a fact. So, as I always say, I'm a humanist. I believe in the human journey, and I hope we can find our humanity and get there. So, stay human, stay curious, and above all, stay unbroken in your pursuit of the truth, because it will set you free. So until next time, I don't know. Peace is patriotic, and the truth is resistance. That's the best I can give you. And watch this space. I'm sure we'll talk about this again soon. All right, thanks for joining me on The Ugly Truth. More great 90s summer up next on Radio Motion. You're listening to Sunbury Radio, 99.3 FM. Let's hear from some of our awesome sponsors.